Okay, ready to saddle up for some career advice. Today, we're diving deep into how to become a horse riding instructor,
Sounds like fun.
and more specifically, how to really impress during that interview.
It's such a cool field because you need like a special mix of skills, you know? You need the actual writing part, the technical side, but then you also need to be amazing with people to really get them feeling good on a horse.
You've got to inspire them.
Totally.
So we've got role catchers guides. They cover a bunch of stuff like career paths and even some practice interview questions. It's wild.
It's like having a secret weapon for your job hunt.
For real.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. Imagine you're in the interview and they hit you with the classic, tell us about your horse riding experience.
Oh, that one seems easy, but it's where a lot of people miss out on a chance to shine.
So it's not just about listing off every place you've ridden since you were a kid.
Nope. Think of it like your quick sales pitch. Show them how much you know, like what styles you're into, if you're crazy good at dressage or whatever, even a time you totally rocked it, impress them.
Okay, so instead of just saying, oh, I've ridden horses my whole life, you'd say something like,
More like, I started with English riding when I was 8, got super into dressage during high school, even competed some, and then I spent a few years working with these young horses at a hunter-jumper barn, learned a ton, let me tell ya.
whoa, that's way more interesting.
Yeah.
Shows you're not just messing around.
Exactly. And get this, RoleCatcher has this AI thing. It can actually read the job description and help you focus on what they actually care about. So smart.
Whoa, it's like a custom prep session for every single interview. Okay, so you've nailed the experience question. What's next?
Well, safety is huge E in this job, right? So be ready for something like, how do you make sure your students are safe while riding?
I bet they don't want to hear a robot listing off the rules.
No way. Make it a story. Like before every single lesson, I always. Or I'm big on telling my students, make it real.
And if you've got a story, even a small one, about a time you kept things safe.
Bingo. That's gold. Okay, now they might ask, how do you change things up for each student, they're learning? Because everyone learns different, right?
So you have to be adaptable, like a horse whispering chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
How would you suggest tackling that one?
Think about how you teach. Like your bag of tricks. Some instructors are all about visuals.
Yeah, diagrams and stuff.
Exactly. And others break things down into tiny steps. Or maybe you've got your own system for figuring out how someone learns best.
Oh yeah, RoleCatcher had a whole thing on that. Visual, auditory, kinesthetic learners. Wild.
Right. Knowing that stuff is clutch. And get this. RoleCatcher's AI can actually give you feedback on your answers. Practice this question, and the AI will be like, here's how you can make it even better.
No way. It's like having a personal coach in my computer. Okay, so we've talked about your experience, keeping everyone safe, and teaching styles. What about those curveball questions? The ones that make you sweat a little.
Oh, you mean the tell me about a time you dealt with a difficult student question?
Yeah, that one. Any tips for not freezing up?
Honesty is key, but always stay positive, Focus on solutions, pick a real story, keep it short and sweet, and emphasize the good outcome.
So instead of going on and on about how awful this kid was, you could be like, I had a student who just wouldn't wear a helmet. So I took them aside, one-on-one, and explained why it was so important. Their safety is my main thing. And guess what? They got it, put the helmet on, and we had a great lesson.
Boom. Perfect. You showed them you can handle tough situations like a pro. And speaking of tough, another curveball could be, have you ever had a medical emergency during a lesson?
Oh, wow, yeah. That's got to be rare, but you wouldn't want to be caught off guard.
Right. It's all about showing them you can stay cool under pressure. Even if you haven't had a major incident, talk about how you'd handle different things.
Like what to do if someone falls or a horse gets loose.
You got it. And don't forget to mention any certifications you have, like first aid or CPR. Shows you're on top of it.
Right. Got to be prepared. Okay, switching gears a bit. Interviewers also want to know if you're keeping up with the latest and greatest in the horse world. Have you run into questions about that?
For sure. They might ask, how do you stay updated on new riding techniques or anything new in the field?
That's important because things are always changing, right? New ways of training, new stuff about horse care.
Absolutely. So tell them about how you're always learning. Conferences, workshops, even books and articles you've read.
Oh, I bet you can even talk about something specific you learned and now use in your lessons.
Totally. Shows you're not just keeping up, you're ahead of the game. Now let's chat about something super important, dealing with parents.
Ah, right. Because it's not just about the horses. It's about all the people involved, too.
And that takes some serious people skills. So be ready for the dreaded, how do you handle disagreements with parents question.
Oof, that's a good one. Everyone's got an opinion, and some people can be intense. What's the best way to answer that? It feels like active listening and clear communication would be key here. It feels like active listening and clear communication would be key here.
You got it. You want to sound like someone who's easy to talk to, understanding, who can find a solution everyone's happy with. So instead of getting defensive, try saying, thanks for bringing this to my attention. I really want to make sure all my students are having a good experience, so let's figure out how to fix this together.
Yeah, that team approach is so important. Okay, so we've talked about tough students, but what about students who are struggling? Not being difficult, but just not getting it. That takes a different approach, right?
It really does. And interviewers want to see that you have empathy, that you're patient. They might ask, how do you encourage a student who's really struggling to improve their writing?
I bet it's so rewarding, though, to help a writer get past a hurdle and see their confidence grow.
Oh, totally. The best feeling. When you answer this question, talk about specific things you do. Do you break down skills into smaller chunks? Lots of praise and encouragement. Maybe you even share a story about your own writing, times you've struggled.
Showing them it's okay to not be perfect. Everyone goes through it.
Exactly.
Wow, we've covered so much today. We've gone over how to talk about your experience, your teaching style, dealing with tough situations, basically everything you need to rock that horse riding instructor interview.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's got your back through all of this. You can research different places, practice your answers. It's amazing.
It's like having a career fairy godmother.
Yeah.
Any last words of wisdom for our listeners who are ready to become riding instructors?
Just be confident. Believe in yourself, let that passion shine through, and show them how much you love horses and teaching.
Love it. And one last thing to think about before you head into that interview. How would you work with a student who's totally terrified of horses, but desperately wants to learn? It's a tough one, but imagine being able to help someone get past that fear and find the joy in riding. Until next time, happy riding.